Hi, Steve Draper here at my workshop in Bellevue, Nebraska. Several of you have asked me what is the difference between the Shopsmith Mark IV, the Mark VII, and the 520. And that's what I'm going to talk about today, and I'm going to show you exactly what are the differences between the two machines and what their capabilities are. So as far as historical, the 520 is the oldest of the three. That 520 has a full-length bed, just like the Mark VII right here. It's just full length, but it does not have dual tilt. So what to show you on what that's like, I'm going to show you here on this shorty here, which was actually made from a shop deputy. And what happens is when someone takes the 520 and they want to upgrade to a dual tilt, then they are left with these two components here from each end, and they put shorter tubes on them and makes it into a shorty. And what people like to use these for is if they just want to do their special purpose tools like their bandsaw or their jointer or the belt sander or the strip sander or any of those. If that's all they want to use it for, that's what this is great for. And I'm going to show you some things on here. So here you'll notice on the shorty here, I mean, you can do quite a bit on this. You can set it up as a sanding station. I'll show you. I'll set that up for a sanding station first so you can see how that's done if you want to use it for a sanding station. So you put out here, we'll put on the disc sander on this end, on the quill end. And then on the other end, we're going to put our belt sander and the drum sander. We'll put that on the other end. Now, I'm not going to put the coupler on here, but if I were to hook it up, I would hook the coupler here between the two here. And then we would put the drum sander on the other end of the belt sander here. Then we would mount, well, I guess I'm going to have to loosen up the screw there. What's the deal here? The drum sander does not want to go on there for some reason. Well, let's just get a different one then. I'll get a different one. Well, that's interesting. That doesn't want to go on. Try one more. Well, you can see, folks, things don't always work out the way they should. You know, actually, I have never on my machine done this because I've just never needed to. But it looks like I'm going to have to file that off a little bit so I can get those on there. But that's how you would do it if they fit on there. which mine don't seem to fit on there today. And of course, you're used to, with a single tilt, this just, and that would come up like that. But on the Shorty, you can't use it in this position because there's no table or anything under there to do it in a drill press. Even though you can physically do it, the only way you could do any drill press operations is if you had something down on the floor, because there's just not room on here to put a carriage because your tubes are so short. There's just insufficient room in here to put a carriage and a table on there. So that's your Shorty. And that's how the 520 would look, except it'd just be a little bit longer. Now, Shopsmith has what's called the 520S now, which the 520S is not this machine. It looks like this, except it's got a conventional headstock like this, okay, on one of these beds, and it has all of the accessories on it, and it does have the dual tilt on it. So that's the 520S. Next one I'm going to show you is the Mark IV, and that's this one. Now the Mark IV, I'm going to put it next to this Shorty so you can see the difference. Okay, so the Mark IV, it's not as long as a full length, but it's not as short as the Shorty. So it is long enough that we can put a carriage in there and a table on it. So that's your Mark IV. The Mark IV comes with, when you buy a Mark IV, comes with the conventional headstock. It comes with the lower saw guard. It comes with an upper saw guard, a main table, and one telescoping leg with a fitting on it, which you cannot use it by the way it comes, this device, but you can use it if you upgrade and get more accessories, then you can use it. And then it's got some goggles and a push stick. So then you buy whatever packages that you want to buy with it, and of course it has its own user manual. And that's the Mark IV. Now, I'll tell you that on the Mark 520S, you want to say it, what comes with that one. I'll show you that now. If we take a fixed extension table, we add it to this type of accessories, take this away, put it on a full-length bed, and that's your 520S. And of course, it comes with its own manual also. And now here's your Mark VII. Your Mark VII is the premium that has everything and will do all of the operations. Now, I don't have everything on here, but the Mark VII, it comes with the main table, the fixed extension table, your two floating tables, all of your accessories that you can do all of your operations, including the extension tubes and everything That's what the Mark 7 has with it. Now, as far as capabilities and what you can do with the machines, I'm going to show you that the difference between the Mark 4 and the Mark 7 or the 520 is because of the shorter bed here, bed length on it, is that when you do drill press operations, you're not going to be able to have that motor up quite so high. And I will show you, I'll put both of these machines up into vertical position so you can see. But before I do that, I want to talk about one other thing, a difference, and that is the planer. If you have the Mark mounted planer, which I do, we can mount it on the Mark 7 or the 520S or the 520. Now, if you mount it on this Mark 7, you can mount it on this side of the headstock. If you mount it on the 520S or the 520, you can mount it on this side of the headstock. So that's going to be the difference there. You cannot mount a planer on the Mark IV because the bed is not long enough. You're not capable to do that. But all the other support tools, your bandsaw, jointer, belt sander, strip sander, those can be mounted on any of these versions that you want to mount on. So the other thing I was going to mention is on that 520S, I mentioned that it comes with a fixed extension table, but it does not come with this extension leg. So you have to buy that extra on that one. So now let's look at what the difference is in their vertical operations. I'll show you what that looks like. So typically on a 520 or a Mark 7, I have a jig that I've made so I know exactly where to have things positioned before I put it up vertically, so I don't have to move anything around. And I have this little jig here which shows me where to put my table. And I have this jig right here, which is 12 inches long, which tells me where I'm going to put my headstock. So that's about right there. Okay, so let's put the legs down on the floor. Okay. Then let's do the same thing here with our Mark IV, so we can see the difference there when it's on vertical. So here I put the headstock all the way to the far left end, as far as it can go. And for drill press, it'd probably be, well, let's just get our chuck and put it on there so we can see. This is kind of cool. I got a new chuck this last week because my old one was out of tolerance. If you remember the original Jacobs chucks, when you drop these bits in, they'll stop. Okay, the new one, it'll go all the way through. It's hollow, goes all the way through. It's interesting. So you have to be a little bit more careful when you put the bit in it. All right, let's put this on here. Here we are. Now, when you get it on the arbor, then it'll stop when it put it in. So we normally do all 3 holes. So that's probably about where I would have it for doing drill press operations. Let's turn this around so you can see. And now we'll lift it up. So there's the Mark IV up and vertical for drill press. And here's your Mark VII. I can move the table over, but as you can see, I like having my table higher than what I can do on the Mark IV. I do not like doing drill press operations down that low. And if it's going to be for overhead routing or shaping, which that's why I have my Mark VIIs, because that's what I use it for. But technically you can do it on the conventional headstock, but you just got to do it a whole lot slower and a lot lighter passes. But I'll put the table over there so you can see what it looks like on the Mark VII. So there we are. So there's on the Mark VII. I like having it up higher, and that's why I like my Mark VII. And if I need to do even higher, like if I'm doing like some overhead routing, I like to have that even higher, and then I can position this headstock higher and get that table up higher if I want to. And so, of course, for those of you, I'm 5'10". For those of you that are taller than me, you're going to want to have that table up higher. You're not going to want to have it down as low as it is on the Mark IV. So hopefully this answers your questions about what the difference is between the Mark IV, the Mark VII, or the 520 or the 520S, as well as the Shorty, which is done from making it into a shop deputy, which Shopsmith will give you the parts to do that. So hope you like watching this. I hope you've learned from it. If you have any comments, please comment and subscribe if you want to get the continuing videos. Thanks for watching. Steve Draper here in Bellevue, Nebraska.